had to have this exact conversation 1,000 times.
How do you pronounce it?
My name is pronounced Sooraj. Sooraj.
So a lot of people say Sooraj, right?
Everyone says Sooraj, but it's Sooraj.
There we go.
There it
See?
is.
Now we know. Nobody can mistake you now. They messed it up.
It's like,
they didn't watch
we got
the video.
receipts.
We got
Boom.
receipts.
We got receipts.
All right, so we're going to start on incline today?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. So what actually got you to start coming to the lab?
You know, I was at 24 Hour Fitness in Livermore for a while. It's actually since I was 18. And weirdly enough, it got to a point where every time I'd be working out, I started to get recognized. And it almost felt like, okay, you know, I have to interrupt my workout so I can like have a conversation with someone who's seen me on the internet, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel private. It doesn't feel, I don't know, like you're in my space a little bit, like I don't want to be mean.
Yeah.
And then at the time, actually Nick, our buddy Nick over there, he was going to 24 Hour Fitness, but I saw in his story that he was going here to the lab, and I said, Nick, I'm like, where are you going? He's like, oh, this place in San Ramon, it's gonna be opening up soon. I'll let you know. And I was like, oh my God, like that sounds really cool. Honestly, it's like something I actually need because I need privacy.
Yeah.
And then also, I felt like I was just kind of skating by in my workout routines. I wasn't taking it as serious. And after looking at Bobby's page, I started like diving in a little bit to, you know, the gym Instagram page, and I was like, oh, who's Bobby? And then I was like, oh, this guy's actually someone who is in this world, who cares about it. I'm like, okay, so one, it's a private place. Two, it's run by someone who lives, eats, breathes, sleeps fitness. I was like, okay, that's great. Someone who actually has built something that is meant for people who want to be serious about their fitness goals. And I was like, okay, that's perfect time to hit him up. So I hit up Bobby and I said, hey, Bobby, I'm also in Livermore, would love to come in and be able to collaborate in some way and be able to promote the lab on my platform. Would love to come and meet you. He responded right away and was like, hey dude, love your work, would love to give you a tour. And I was so excited, I was like, absolutely, just let me know some times. He said, great, yeah, you can come tomorrow around noonish. I was like, I'm there. And then came to the lab and felt his energy immediately, and I was like, okay. I vibe with him so heavily because I felt, one, immediately welcomed. Two, I felt like he actually had a genuine curiosity and wanting to understand me, my world, and then just a great respect for what I was doing. He's like, dude, checked out some of your content. It's beautiful. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I remember seeing your videos and I was like, all right, this guy's on another level. Like, I seen your following. Oh, you have a great following,
yeah.
But I see why you have that following. You know, like sometimes you'll get on someone's page and you're kind of like, oh wow, they got a good following, and then you kind of like, wait, how did they get this following?
Correct.
How did you go about like getting to the point you are at now? Like your videos are absolutely insane. So have you always been into like the social media stuff, or was it something that you got really good at over time, like practice? Like,
so I just turned 27. I had a camera in my hand at 17, 18 years old. So to where I got right now, it literally took 10 years of experience. So like, let's think about that. I wasn't doing the same exact thing that I've been doing for 10 years, but I was able to perfect my craft through various experiences that led me to the creator that I am today, right? But it all revolved around becoming a strong storyteller, a filmmaker, someone who lights, someone who writes. All of that came as an accumulation over 10 years of different iterations and different versions of myself that, you know, were being expressed through different mediums. But to back it up, I was always a very creative person. So from age, 8 to 18, I was a professional dancer, did traditional, Bollywood, just traditional Indian forms of dance, and I did American hip hop, and I competed for like 10 years. So I already had a creative expression through dance. I was in every single talent show from kindergarten up until 12th grade. So it's like I've always kind of been destined to be in the limelight. I always said I was born to be a star. My parents, my family always said I'm destined for greatness. I mean, even in middle school, even in high school, in the yearbooks, people would say, most likely to be famous, Sooraj Saxena, right? Because everyone saw that I had this light in me to express myself in ways that most people in schools aren't doing, especially men dancing in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. Like it's not, you know, I'm already doing something that's very different from my hometown in Livermore. And then from dancing, I turned into a rapper. I was a rapper for about 8 years. I'd sell CDs in school. I had this like entrepreneurial, creative spirit to, you know, get my voice out there. SoundCloud days as well. And I made like 5, 6 albums, used to sell them in school. That's where I learned how to start using my voice, how to write lyrics, how to actually express myself through words versus just dance. And then from there, I started having music videos made for me. And then because I had music videos made for me, I fell in love with the way I looked on camera. But more than that, my director buddies who used to film me, I fell in love with the process of how they made me look on camera. So I was like, holy shit, the way you edit me, the way you compose me, the way you color the footage, the way you light and are able to weave me and my expression in a story. I fell more in love with that than me being in front of the camera. And then from there, I was God given a camera to me in my hands, and from there I was able to film for other artists, for other brands, like small pop-up shops, art collectives, and I just fell in love with this next expression that stumbled into my life. So my point is, my expression kept evolving over and over again, but once I had a camera in my hand, I felt the same sort of drive to that, tell other people's stories and share other people in a very beautiful, aesthetically pleasing way. That's where I was able to truly learn how to develop my eye of how to make other people look, because I knew that's how I wanted to look in front of the camera as well. And then also it came as a little bit of an insecurity. I stopped making music. I felt like I wasn't good enough. And I deleted that entire persona off the internet. But I felt like I wanted to still vicariously live that dream by filming other people. So then from there, I started to just develop my craft as a filmmaker, filming music videos for other artists and other brands. And I was like, oh my God, I fell in love with how directors make incredible music videos. And I was just learning through YouTube University on how to become a strong director, how to light things, how to color things. And from 18 to now, everything that I've learned was either one through experience, mentors from high school, early college, to just teaching myself through experience. And from there, I slowly just was able to keep developing my eye, my craft, and I felt like I was just made for it, because now I'm getting attention from different artists, different people who say, hey, I trust you with my vision. Oh, yeah. And because I was able to film for other people and be of service to other people is how I became a better storyteller. Yeah. And it's because I started to see my expression as a form of service rather than just as a means to make money. Just because it felt joyful to be able to make really pretty images and show people in their best light, you know? And I think when you operate from that point of view, you're able to develop your craft from a place of authentic joy rather than, is this gonna result in money? Is this gonna result in opportunity? It's like, no, I'm doing this because I actually love it and I don't care if it turns into anything or not. Yeah. Just because I'm having fun.
That's kind of how I was with training.
Yeah.
I know when I first got into it, everyone's like, well, there's no money in training. Like, it's not a career, you know? If you want to get into training, just know you're not going to make money. And for me, it was like, okay, I don't care. I love fitness. I love everything about it, you know? And obviously I've gotten to a place now where I do pretty well for myself, you know, and I've made it a career. Yes. And I've been in the industry for 15 years. But early on, it wasn't like you get into it and you're thinking, oh, I want to make money. I want to get big on social media. I want to have the IFBB Pro card and do it for those reasons. I did it because I genuinely loved it. And even today, I tell people all the time, if you want to own your own gym or if you want to go far in fitness, don't do it because of any other reason besides the fact that you love it. Because you cannot come in here and run a gym and do all the things that I have to go through every single day just because you want to make a little bit of money or just because you think it's the cool thing to do. It's like you genuinely have to love this industry. And what I mean by that is it's not just lifting the weights. It's like every day someone comes in here and they want to talk to you, they want to be friends with you, they have a story. There's things that they go through their lives and you got to be able to
hold space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So for me, it was the love. It was like, you have to love it. So I think that's why I see with you is I see your videos and I see how much thought goes into these videos, right? It's not just like, it's like the music today, right? I just don't feel like music is anywhere like it used to be back in the days. That's why you hear a Michael Jackson song and you could play it 30, 40, 80 years from now and it's still gonna be amazing because there was so much thought that went into it. And that's kind of how I look at your videos is I look at your stuff and I'm like, there's a lot of thought that goes into this stuff. So how do you sit down usually, or do you like write stuff down, or how does that work? Do you have like a binder that you write things in? Like where does the thought process come from?
It's a good question. For me, well, first off, like you said, if it's not something that you love, then it's really, in my opinion, not worth putting time into because you're not going to be, one, your best self. You're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to find out what your true purpose is. And once you have found the thing that you love and you're able to follow your heart because of it, the right type of ideas, the right type of direction, everything will start to be granted to you because God is going to say, hey, because you're following your heart now, now I'm going to grant you whatever next step, direction, and piece of wisdom that you need to keep doing what you do. Because now you're operating from a place of wholeness rather than scarcity. If you are doing something because you want something out of it, you're going to operate from a place of scarcity. But for me, because I am so in love with this craft, and I know that once I immerse myself in the process of this thing that I love without any expectations of results, then I know I'm not going to be out of ideas. I'm not going to be out of, oh my God, so what's the next thing going to be? It's because now everything is coming from the heart, which is abundant. And God is saying, hey, just follow your heart, surrender to me, and I'm going to give you all the answers you need to keep going. So for me, it's like when I'm coming up with a skit idea, for example, everything that I produce, every single piece of content, I would say at least 90% of the content I produce is all a form of self-art therapy. So it's stuff that I'm actually feeling within my heart. And because I'm actually allowing myself to feel, it's coming from, one, the idea is coming from a place that I'm actually experiencing in life, right? So if I'm actually experiencing something in life, well, one, that's where the idea is from. So it's not like I have to pull something out of my ass because I'm literally living this. I'm going through this heartbreak. I'm going through this turmoil in growing a business. I'm going through this revelation of self-worth and addiction or whatever it is. So it's like, it's things that I'm actually going through. So the ideas, they're there. They're plentiful. It's your life experiences. There's so much of it. But when it comes to actually planning out a video, those frames, the way it's spoken, the words that I'm delivering, come in solitude. I have to spend time alone, one, without any distractions, no phone, no podcasts, no radio, no Netflix, nothing. So I can just be a vessel for God to channel through to me. So it can be in the shower. It can be when I'm driving without any music. And I'll just start thinking of a conversation in my head, and I start to engage in that conversation, an uncomfortable thought, something that I'm feeling, a lot of the turmoil within me. I look at a lot of those dark moments in my life as invitations to just have a conversation. And that's just God saying, hey, let's talk. And then the moment I start to talk, and you start to talk very freely from the heart, then God's gonna talk back, and then it's like He's giving you the playbook. That's it. It's like you're in solitude, you're alone. He's like, okay, just have the conversation with me, and then I'm going to say, hey, here's the rebuttal, here's the way to work through it, and that's how I come up with the script. because it's a conversation with my higher self or God or the universe, right?
Yeah.
That's how I'm able to come up with the scripts. It's stuff that I'm actually I'm doing what most people will never do. It's just sit and talk with themselves or God.
Yeah, those are some of the most important conversations, I feel like, the ones that
Yeah.
you have with yourself.
Yes.
'Cause I have those all the time, right?
Totally.
And it's just me asking God for guidance or what I should do, picking all the stuff that we've picked for the gym, right? To look a certain way. And, there's a lot that goes in it, but it's
Yes.
also your thoughts,
Yes.
people around you, asking people those thoughts that you have
Yes.
and what they think about it.
Yes.
So kind of going back on that
Yeah.
is, obviously you put your heart out there, you put so much into these videos. How is it when, like, let's say you put a video out and it doesn't do well, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how does that go? Because I feel like that would be pretty hard on you just to have a video and then all of a sudden, how social media is, maybe the algorithm, it doesn't push it the way you want to, but you're like, man, this is a great video, but for some reason it didn't do well, right? How do you take that? How does that?
It's a great question because I have to recognize that if something doesn't perform and I really thought it was going to do incredibly, I will just have to look at that as not as a shot at my self-worth, like, oh, I'm not good. It just shows me that I have to look at what has worked in the past and not learn purely from the things that didn't work, but go re-look at the things that have worked and learn more from your wins rather than just your losses. So for me, I will see it as like, okay, I am trying to force something too much. I am not, was I not being as authentic? Was I rushing through it? That's usually a big indicator too. I was probably rushing through it. I attached too much expectation to it performing well. And then when you have an energetic vibe of like, okay, this needs to perform in a certain way, I expect this to do numbers, well, God's gonna humble you real quick and say like, hey, remember, that's not why we're doing this.
Yeah.
That's not why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing this because it's joy. It's for love, right? And all my best work has come from a place where I'm like, this is purely from a place of like, I just want to get this message out because I want it to be of service to people. If it came from like, okay, hey, this needs to turn into a brand deal. This needs to turn into, 1 million followers. If I have that in my mind, then I'm going to be disappointed because now I'm acting, all of my actions that follow that are coming from a place of lack.
Yeah, for sure.
So like for me, I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't perform, it just means that I need to learn to let go, one, more, and two, I need to just, give it up more to God. You know what I mean? That's like the biggest thing, you know what I mean? Like, I can't handle it all, you know what I mean? And then also just like, look at what worked in the past and then don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get into the numbers too much. They're like, oh, this video didn't do good. Like, man, I can't believe people didn't like this video. And it's like, why do you even care? Like, just put it out there, right? Just keep doing it. And I promise you, I've had videos that have done 200, 200, 200. And I'm just like, whatever, I don't care.
Right.
It is what it is. I'm just going to keep putting out stuff for the gym, keep putting it out there. And over time, all of a sudden, boom, you get 1.4 million, 1.5 million. It's like, at the end of the day, you just put it out there because you love it. And it's either some people are going to like it, some people aren't. Like, at the end of the day, you just got to keep doing that.
And also, if you also look at creativity and art, just like an athlete does. You have to refine your form when you're on the field or when you're on the court. It's like, it becomes a mechanics game as well. Like, if you have to start treating it also, in my true belief, that like, if you want to be able to communicate a message properly, there's also a science behind it too. Your storytelling, the way you show up with your energy on screen. If you see a video that did 1.4 million views, or you see creators who are doing things that you want to do, break them down like a science. Study their play, because they're also doing something that is an accumulation of, sure, their passion, but also because they've refined their craft, right? So anytime something doesn't perform well, just see it as an opportunity to get better. That's it. Like, just get better. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much room for improvement. Don't make it seem like, don't treat it like different from, an athlete or business or anything. It's the same thing. Like, just look at ways to adjust and align yourself to become better.
Yeah.
More effective.
I would put out videos and they just wouldn't do really well. But I was putting out stuff that's popular at the time, right? Oh, this is popular, let me put that out. Oh, this is doing really well, let me put that out. And then I realized, like, when I just started making videos that were, I just go around and tell people about working out. So I'd make a video and it'd be like, okay, we're gonna do a bench press today.
Yes.
This is how we're gonna do it. And I was able to give value. That's when I was able to like really move up, you know, and do well.
Yes.
It's when I stopped caring about what everybody else was doing and I kind of just stayed into what I'm good at in my lane.
Yes.
And I figured it out. I was like, okay, people really like when I go over the workouts and give them the knowledge that I have, the years and years I've been in the industry.
Yes.
And, you know, I have my pro card and I have, you know, that knowledge because I'm around everybody at the gym.
Correct.
So I'm able to show them that and people ended up liking it and it does well. So I kind of found my niche and figured out what works for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is find out what works for you. Stop looking at everybody else and what they're doing and figure out what works for you. Like with you, obviously, you figured it out. You kind of know. But I think the difference with you is that you have multiple styles. Like none of your videos are all the same. I feel like there's a lot of different styles of videos that you do and they all do well.
But you know what I will say? It's a beautiful thing that Bobby just mentioned. And I wholeheartedly stand by this because from the different iterations of content that I've evolved through, and I've gone through 5 or 6 different versions of me that are producing content, and something that Bobby just said, and it's so beautiful that you said this, is provide value. Every single iteration of content is value driven. And I think a lot of people don't see their content as a way or a means to provide value, be it provide entertainment as value, education as value, or inspiration. Most people don't look at their content like that. And the fact that you understand that, hey, I have my expertise, it doesn't do me any good if I hold that to myself and don't share that with the world. You and I are here to make people better off than when we first met them. So what I love that you do is you're able to say, hey, I have this entire world that I've built for myself. Now let me show people how I did it so they can see a part of themselves within me. And that's something that I've been doing where every version of my content is a capsule of time where I am expressing myself in a certain way, but every single time I'm expressing my heart and what's going on through me and whatever realizations or epiphanies I'm going through, and I'm able to share that with the world and provide value through all those different seasons of my life. And because of that, is the only reason I've been able to grow is because every single piece of content or caption or story that I've written has value. That's the biggest thing. Be of service to people. And it's not that hard. It's like if I can help somebody go from point A to point B, be it in their mindset, their heart, physical, whatever it is, financial, then you are going to be rewarded for that. With followers, through opportunities, doesn't matter. But because you're being of service to humanity. Most people don't look at it like that. They're like, oh, I just want to do what I want to do. It's like there's a balance between letting your ego have fun and be recognized and getting the fame and the limelight. But if that's not coupled by service, you're going to lose. Point blank period.